Good afternoon. This is Michelle, your CDA instructor. I hope you're having a good afternoon. You're in Module 3, and Lesson 2 is, and the ones that follow are sometimes really tricky for people. This is new information for most people that take the course, and these are things we all can work on for our whole lives and careers, really, to be honest. So what I want to do is offer you some feedback in this recording to kind of help you think about it a little more. No one usually submits this without some kind of reworking because it's very difficult to make some of these changes, especially when you're just, studying the CDA for the first time. So usually you would be in a class and get a lot of training and have opportunities to practice. So I make these little recordings to try to help people develop their understanding of it a little more. So I'm going to start with these scenarios, and I know the assignment is to list 10 scenarios that actually happen in the classroom, and then using the principles from the training, how would you respond to them? So this is a really tough assignment, to be honest. So I want to be as helpful as I can, and I don't want you to worry about reworking it a little bit. Pretty much everyone who does it needs to do that. So you have a child in number 1 who's clinging to her mother and crying loudly that she doesn't want her mother to leave her. And wow, yeah, that's a tough one, and it happens all the time. It's very common. One suggestion I would have, just to be helpful to you and not really to do with the assignment, is that it would be great for you and the mother to work something out about that so you both are on the same page. Maybe you've already done that, which is great. But that's just something I thought I would mention. So your response is that you tell Lilith that her mom will be back for her and that you're here for her, and you have something that you can do together, which I think is really wonderful. If it works, that's great. That's amazing, actually. I've never seen anything happen that quickly, but maybe by now she's kind of used to that routine that you just reassure her. And then one thing I would insert there is to acknowledge how she feels. Just to say, I understand that it's hard for you to say goodbye to your mom. Of course you don't want to say goodbye to your mom. That's understandable. And because we have a tendency to say she'll be back and not really acknowledge that it's hard to say goodbye. And it's with the best of intentions that we do that. But it really trains kids to dismiss the feelings they're having and try to just move on. And that's actually not what we want. We want them to be able to process what they're feeling and then move on. So if you skip the process your feelings or acknowledging your feelings part, that can end up being tricky later on in your childhood and then in adulthood, actually, too. So we try very hard to start with acknowledging how they're feeling. So that's just one suggestion I have. But if she responds to you having something to do with her, that's great. Maybe she can talk about her feelings when she's making something. That would be even better. If she can use the artistic materials to express how she's feeling, that would be great. You could also have her express how happy she's going to feel when she sees her mom again. Things like that. So that's fine. You can leave that. I just wanted to give you some feedback about that. So here comes Bentley. Fine. When the next child, he develops an attitude toward the child. I'm not sure what that means. So if you could say a little bit more about what he does and what that actually means. I'm a little unclear. It says that you tell him that he's his friend and we need to be nice to his friend. I'm not sure what this means. You don't like him hitting you. This is a little unclear to me. So if you could make that a little clearer, I'll try to be more helpful. It sounds to me like maybe what happens is when a new child comes in, Bentley has trouble adapting to this or accommodating that, and that you're trying to help him understand that this person is his friend and we need to be nice to our friends. If that's true, I would change your language around that. I think he's kind of telling you he doesn't think of this child that's come in as a friend, and it's okay. That's okay. You you don't have to think of everyone as your friend. In fact, I don't think most adults do that. What we do know is that everyone in the space deserves to be treated well. And telling kids to be nice isn't specific enough. So we need to come up with some other language. It sounds like this child hits people. I'm sorry, I'm really having a hard time making sure that I understand this. It sounds like Sean, you're telling Bentley you don't like him hitting you. Tell him to stop. So, yes, that's good. Yeah, if somebody's hitting you, you should tell them to stop. But I would change your language that basically it sounds like this child may be hitting this other child that he doesn't want in the room or something. I'm not sure. But I would suggest that you change the language to, that hitting is not okay where we are. If you're not happy to see someone, that's okay. You can just play over here away from that person. Give him some options when he doesn't want to have other people in the space. I'm not quite clear what's happening there, but I thought maybe those little things would be helpful to you. It's time for breakfast. Wyatt's upset. His chair is not where he wants it to be. I say, it's okay. I'll help you move it to your spot. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. You're upset that it's not where you want it to be. Boy, do I know how he feels sometimes. So yes, that's great if you can help him move it. Aubrey wants a bike that Wyatt already has. I tell her there's another bike. She doesn't want another bike. I tell her to ask Wyatt if she can ride the bike. He says no. He said, and you say, let's get a ball out, play with you. So yeah, that sounds good. Olivia arrives later. She's tired because they were up late. The car broke down. She didn't get enough sleep. I tell Olivia, can I hold her? Yeah, that's wonderful. That's perfect. Bentley was sitting with several other children at the art table, taking a handful of markers. Some children are upset as he runs away. I tell them he will bring them back. I ask Bentley to not run and bring back the markers. Doesn't return the markers. As I get up, he's ready to run again. I say, Bentley, I'm not chasing you. A thought hits me and I say, I need a hug, and stretch out my arms, and he comes right to me. Amazing. I'll try this again when I need to. Yeah, that might be great because that might be what he needs too. So, yeah, it's good that you don't chase him, all of that. Bentley sounds like he's trying to figure out how to get his needs met in the classroom, and he's doing various things. So there you go. You figure one response that is always good is to inject humor when you can, and it sounds like you kind of found a funny way to do that. Aubrey's wanting to come down the slide. Bentley's trying to push her out of the way so he can go first. I tell him you'll have to wait. She was there first. Yes. And I love that you say we have to be safe. So one of the things I try to get teachers to say is we together make sure everyone is safe. We keep each other safe. And one of the ways we do that is by waiting to go down the slide. Perfect. Aubrey came down the slide, then Bentley. Bentley now wants to just sit on the slide, of course. I say, Bentley, you have to get off the slide after you come down. It's not a safe choice. I don't want you to get hurt. Please move out of the way. Yeah. Again, that's perfect. You can just also say, we keep each other safe, by getting off the slide when our turn is done. Yes, that's perfect. Olivia is playing nicely with her baby. Aubrey has a baby. She wants Olivia's baby. Of course she does. Olivia is now screaming. She wants her baby back. Yep, of course. Yeah, that's great. Perfect. Yeah, just let's talk to each other. So that's good. Everly is upset. Bentley has been aggravating her all morning, doing little things. Sounds like Bentley is really trying to connect with people, and these are the ways that he knows how to do it so far. Given the string of things where you've mentioned him in almost every single scenario, I would say Bentley could benefit from some proactive training and pro-social training in how to connect with people in other ways. So you can be thinking about that, and be thinking about that as you watch the videos coming up in the rest of the modules. But I feel your interest in trying to work with him or her, depending. I shouldn't assume that Bentley is a boy's name. Okay, so you understand different ways of regulating. Yeah, that's perfect. Conscious discipline, that's perfect. So here are your consequences. So natural consequences, nothing you can do to change what's going to happen. If it rains, you get wet. They will learn with experience. Yes. Logical is where, as a teacher, you may say, don't tip your milk carton. Well, I will say, if you say, don't tip your milk carton, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this. What the brain hears is tip your milk carton. It doesn't hear the don't right there. It's a really interesting phenomenon. So, when you say don't tip your milk carton, it's going to spill and you'll have to clean up spilled milk. The brain basically hears tip your milk carton. It doesn't really pick up on all this other stuff that you say. So you've got here, it should be cleanup time, such as block center. You offer for yourself or another child to help, but the child still refused to clean up. So the consequence might be to choose another center to play in before going back to the block center. Yeah, I'm a little unclear because you went from spilled milk to the block center. I'm not sure. I guess you're meaning two separate consequences there. So this thing about spilled milk, this whole thing that we do with kids spilling stuff and making it a consequence to clean it up, that's actually more of a natural consequence. And it's really not about imposing anything about or making a child feel bad. If milk gets spilled, it has to be cleaned up. That's pretty much the way it goes. If a child is doing things with their carton, they're playing with it, and they spill because they're playing with it, then we just need to say, here's something you can play with, because playing with your milk carton will make the milk spill out. That's it. And we don't have to make anybody feel bad. Or kids play with stuff. They pick stuff up, they throw it around. That's what they do. So we just have to give them something else to play with and help them understand that, the milk carton is not something to play with that way. But I would take this out, actually, and I would not call it a logical consequence. I would say it's a natural consequence that if you spill something, you have to clean it up. It's not really anything to do with us imposing something. I hope that makes sense to you. So as far as the block center goes, if a child doesn't want to clean up in the block center, there are lots of things you can do about that. I would not impose a logical consequence for that. I would look for something other than not allowing them to go back to a center that they don't want to clean up in. I would be proactive and say, before they go into before you start playing, just pull them aside and talk to them and say, okay, so if you want to build something in the block center, when it comes time to clean up, then, what are you going to do? Kind of try to help train the child. If you have consistent problems with somebody refusing to clean up, I guess you could impose a logical consequence, but usually removing the child from something they enjoy doing ends up kind of creating other problems for you. So just keep that in mind. Let's leave that alone for now, but as you go through the rest of the training, be thinking about other ways we could deal with that. And then punishment, too harsh for this age group. So yeah, well, punishment is not good for anyone. And it's definitely not appropriate in a school environment for any age. So anyway, I'm glad you see that it's not appropriate. So I would just, that's great.